Okay, so a couple nights ago, I was trying to sleep and I had like all these thoughts running through my head. So basically, it kind of rolled around like the whole preparation thing. So there have been, I've had like number of times where I've had like just the right stuff that I've been grateful for, where I'm like stuck in a pickle and like just being prepared saved my bacon. And I was thinking about this because I was trying going to sleep, and I was actually seeing how comfortable some of the items that I have were and things like that. So, for those that may not think about it or not know, it's always a good idea to have like an emergency kit in your car or something like that, and have like a basic kit that maybe if you have to like be out for an extended period of time or overnight, then you can still keep warm and whatnot depending on the weather. So, like, when I was stuck out in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire and eventually a punctured gas tank, I was glad that I had, like, a warm jacket and, like, snacks on me while I waited for, like, whoever that could come out that was, like, an hour, 40 minutes to an hour away from where I was. And I knew how to use this a lot of the stuff that I had. The jacket I had worn regularly and things like that. The night that I was thinking about this and reflecting on this, so I've got a couple of Poncho Liners now. For those that don't know, those are basically like insulation, like a layer of insulation you can attach to a military poncho. They use them in the military to do that. You can use them for shelter, for ground, like putting on the ground and things like that. And you can actually make like makeshift sleeping bags with them and stuff. You're not gonna like use it in the winter, like cold winter, but in something like in the warmer seasons, it works really, really well. Oh, two poncho liners that I have happen to have zippers. So they can be zipped up into a sleeping bag and they still have the ties that you can tie into the grommets on a standard military style poncho. One of the poncho liners I have has a head hole through it. They put a zipper in it and do that. So having these things kind of means like I've got like I'm not really stuck in a situation. If I happen to be carrying it in the car or whatever, then like I've got a way that like they're generally water resistant. So like I've got some way to keep the water off, and I've also got a way to keep warm. That's something like that. And some people, they get like emergency food in case of emergency situations. And like in 2020, 2021, people were buying guns. And it's really good to have those things, like to be prepared and to know that you've got the things that you need in case of a situation. But the thing that really kills people is, do they know how to use what they have? They pick all this stuff up and they don't know how to use it. They don't like study up on how to use it. They see the food kits and it's like, okay, I just have that and I'm ready to go. I remember walking into a surplus store, kind of walking down like the center aisle down to back of the store where they have all their surplus items, and there's a lady there like looking in like all these MRE packets and stuff that the store has, and she picks up a packet of the MRE cookers, just like a thick stack of them. And she's like, so how do you use these? It's like, this woman is done. She's got like the Patriot food packs and whatnot, the dehydrated food, but she does not know how to cook them. She's like, so can use these with those dehydrated foods? No. That's completely different. It's like for the dehydrated food, you have to add the water and things like that. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. So it's these kind of people that like, I guess that's very redneck in a sense, is like they think about preparing for the apocalypse, but they get the things and they don't know how to use the things. It's also like a bunch of the new gun owners that popped up over the last couple of years. They walked into a store, they went to buy a gun, and that was it. They thought that just having a gun straight out would make it easier, and they didn't know how to shoot a gun. They didn't know anything about it. They never learned from someone maybe, or they barely learned but have never shot before. And that kind of leads into the next part, is like testing your stuff. So if you're going to get dehydrated food, how do you know you're going to like it? You don't want to be stuck in the middle of a situation where you find out that you don't like the food that you got for the situation. Because nothing sucks more than preparing for a situation, expecting to be comfortable, and then finding out that you don't like what you had. And that's where preparation comes into not only knowing how to use it, but also knowing that you like the feel of it or the taste of it and whatever. So in the case of like the new gun owners, the first thing that they should do is go and practice with their firearm, kind of get used to it, get to know it, get to know the quirks of it, because guns are like people. They're all different. Even though you may have the same model that came off the same factory line, there are just slightly different things about it in like from gun to gun with the way the machinery made it and all, because the machinery isn't perfect. So there are going to be slight differences that it's going to react differently than another one that someone else has. And it's kind of the same way with the food. If you don't test the food and taste it, then you're going to be stuck in a situation where you're not going to like what you're eating. And that sucks when you need to reduce stress and what you thought was comfort food is really just drudgery and misery. And that's another thing that I was basically working with, seeing like, how does this feel in this situation? So I've got a wool blanket that I've had for a while that I haven't really had to use. And so I realized it's like, I haven't really tried like the blanket to see like how it compares and how to make it comfortable. Because I want to hold on to the wool blanket. I don't want to get rid of it. But at the same time, I want to know that if I'm stuck in a situation with it, I know what I need to do in order to make it more bearable. And this wool blanket was very, very itchy scratchy on its own. So I ended up putting like a sheet layer between it, and that still wasn't thick enough. So I had a slightly thicker light towel blanket, very, very thin one, that was thicker than a sheet, but still thin enough that it wasn't really adding anything to it. And I was able to sleep comfortably under that way. And so it's kind of things like that. And a wool blanket in that situation can also be used as ground cover if you want to use like a sleeping bag or something else. You can use it to sleep on instead, like a pad for insulation or other things like that. And knowing that is also leaning again into the knowing how to do it, and also testing that you know how to do it and that you can do it well. And that's kind of, sometimes it's hard because you don't always have the right situation to test what you're trying to use. And that's where like having a backup in case like your test goes wrong is practical. And so some things are situational. So one thing that I've been doing is like I've been grabbing board games and stuff too, because sometimes when the power goes out and nothing's working, the best thing you can have is like something to distract yourself from, like whatever situation you're in. And when you're in a high stress, long-term situation, having board games is often a good thing, especially when there are kids around, because it can distract the kids from like whatever's going on and things like that. So that a situation requires different kinds of preparation. And I think my favorite thing is like the practicality of it. If you pick something that you can use in a situation where you need to be prepared, but you can also still use that item in everyday use, then it's that much more useful to you to have, and probably should be on your radar higher than like some of the other stuff that you're going to store away. So like if you've got like a freeze dryer that you know you're going to use, that one will provide you with long-term preparation, but also the short term, because you're regularly using it and you're regularly cycling out that food, and it's likely you're going to like the food that you're freeze drying or dehydrating, whatever. And so you're continually practicing with it as well. And like in the case of my jacket, or it's a Hungarian parka, but same situation as where I am using it during the wintertime when it's cold, and so I know kind of some of the quirks with it and how to use it, but at the same time, I can integrate it with other things and work with it that way too. Or many of the other things that I get, like the backpack that I've shown off a little bit ago, is I know some of the features that it has, but I do also like regularly use it for other things, for like toting stuff around. So I am more comfortable with it, and so I'm used to it. So it's not going to be like a hampering stress on me because I've had it with me places that I go, and it's familiar, which is important in like certain high stress situations that way. But yeah, that's kind of my brain dump. Discord links and stuff are down in the description. You know where to find them. Check it all out. Also, VPS stuff. If you're looking for a good virtual server, like there are links for that down in the description below. It's been awesome because like I basically had like the whole thing covered for me for like the next year. I only had to pay like $7 because of the commission. So you guys that signed up for that are awesome. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.